and welcome to the Mariah Jean Fit YouTube channel. I'm Coach Mariah. Make sure you like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and share our videos as much as possible so we can reach a broader audience. We appreciate your support and enjoy the video. What's some show day essential do's and don'ts, and what are some things that perhaps you might want to steer clear of? So, and I mean in any instance of like things to worry about, things to not worry about, things that you probably really need to not do before show day or on show day, just things that pop into your mind.
Well, what to do is to be flexible for show day in regards to the time you're on stage. Is the times we give you are approximates. And if you're ready, we always say be ready 1 hour before your approximate time of stage. So if we're running early, guess what? You're ready. Guess what? If we're running late, you're ready. So you don't have to worry about that. And if we're running 30 minutes either side, which is normally the most we'd ever run, right, is just think it's only 30 minutes out of a 24-hour a day, out of a 7-day week. We're just talking 30 minutes difference. So just be flexible to know that I'm ready. And if it's on early or later, I'm ready and it's all good. Yeah, that's the number one tip for the day. Number two would be make sure you know how the day is flowing and and ask those backstage runners how we're looking, what's going on. And by the way, I'm number 28 and I'm positioned right here. This is where you'll find me. I'm in these divisions. Excellent. Thank you, Mariah. We'll be back. You know, Rory, Ken, normally backstage, and some other helpers, let them know where you are. And also have your number badge on front and back a good half hour beforehand, because if you haven't introduced yourself to the backstage runners and they're yelling out, and this has happened because it gets so noisy backstage, you know, you might walk in the morning first up and it's as quiet as backstage. Oh, you get to the middle of the day and it is as noisy as, and we can have our backstage runners just screaming at the top of their lungs trying to find Mariah, and Mariah, you can be like just 6 feet away and you can't hear them. All right. And they're going, finally they find you, they see your number. Sorry, I'm pointing at the same time. They go, oh, there's 34 right there. And you're like 6 feet away, you know. So really important to have the number on. Girls in particular, don't probably bring everything in the kitchen sink. You're not going away to a winter Paris friends holiday. Just think, what do you need? And just keep it to the bare minimums. If you all keep it to the bare minimums, keep in mind that you've probably all got something for each other if something breaks. Yeah, so you don't need to buy, bring 10 bikinis in case 9 break. 3 sets of heels in case 2 break. Just think what you need to bring as an extra, or if at all. We see some girls come down with the most biggest suitcases you've ever seen, and then we see some come down with just small suitcases, and they're doing the same division. So you can really ask yourself, what size suitcase do I need to bring, and what do I need to bring within it?
Yeah, I love this. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think as well on that note too with times, don't rely on your coach to know all of your stage times, because I do see coaches do run sheets, but your poor coach has got to worry about more than one competitor at times. If it's 1 or 2, it's probably feasible. But when I've got 9 girls and they're all in different divisions across the day, you know, I know some of the ones you've registered in, do not expect one person to memorize 9 people's times, then the changes in times as well, because then we're running around like we're like a headless chook, and then we stress you out. So it's like, I think if one person just knows their times, has it in their notes, and even then, as well as you said, Rory, you know, and knowing who's before you, like if, for example, on the run sheet, you know, mums or over 30s in bikini is before you, then when you hear them being called out, it's like, oh, okay, I'm probably getting close to my division now, and being a bit more mindful, because I think people can get very distracted taking photos and chatting and stuff like that, and it's like all of a sudden, you know, they've lost their show times. I had one year who was out in the foyer talking to her family, and I was like, where the hell is she? It's like, I was then running around ignoring my other competitors trying to find this person, and she almost missed her show time. So yeah, I think that's a big one. And yeah, honestly, the packing all the stuff on show day, they actually, I don't know what it is, there's this crazy little thing that goes off in them on peak week, and it's, you know, can I pack safety pins and this and this, and it's just like, you know, bobby pins and all this crap, and I'm like, you know, hair and makeup have some of this stuff, and even so, you're not going to have much time to, you know, touch up your mascara when you're going on stage multiple times as well. So I like that. Keep it simple. Yeah.
Yeah, and to your point, Mariah, is take some self-responsibility to check on your own time, see how things are going for you, because you've got 9 girls, a couple of coaches have got 20 plus. And yeah, and like the 3 times I've competed, I went on my own. I just organized myself, like checked with the backstage runners, how's time going, got myself ready in time, and yeah. But I probably on that note, let me say that comp day and just posing and whatnot is actually easier than some make it. I think I go back to my first mate that I took to a show, and he was sitting there and he looked miserable, he looked cranky, he looked hungry, and because you know why? He was told that on comp day that's how he was going to feel, because if you feel like that, you're going to look your best ever. And anyway, the next day he comes to me and goes, you know what? I think I got convinced to make myself feel like I was going to just feel shit. And I made myself feel shit when actually I wasn't. Yeah. So it's a mindset, so like it's like posing. When we say posing isn't that hard. Like actually I'll do it right now. I've got my biceps and triceps on. I'll even put my abs on. I'll get my thighs on while I'm sitting down. I've got my calves on. So I've got all that on, right? As hard as I can. I'm talking. I can move my neck around. So in one way, and I'll relax now. In one way, posing is easy. But then you got to put that smile on to make it look like it's hard. Okay. So make show day easy, but you can make it look hard if you want, but no, deep inside, this is actually easy. There's the time. I'm ready. I've got my tan done, got my hair done, got my outfit on. They're running 10 minutes early. I'm ready for that. My number's over there. Yeah, I got this. Yeah.
Best thing you can do is relax and enjoy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next question. What's your biggest tip for those struggling with we actually threw this one in last minute. What's your biggest tip for those struggling with their back pose specifically? Because we know it's probably the hardest to master because we can't see our own backs.
Yep. And Mariah, I'd love to lead in with this, because with your mirror in your background, yes, that mirror there is, and there's a mirror there, is that a mirror that is from Kmart for actually, apparently there's a new one at Kmart for $30, but I know there's a metal edged one for $40. The other one looks like it's a plastic edged one. It's an easel stand like Mariah's got there in the background. And that is your best. Yep, that is your best $40 investment you can make for comp prep, because if you can't see your back, how do you know you're flexing it right and you're keeping it on the whole time for that pose? I would suggest after watching this podcast, you go down to Kmart, you tell them Jason sent you and ask for 5% discount. They'll look at you weird. They go, "There's another weirdo." But seriously. And then in particular, the way you set that mirror up is that you set it up on an angle to the mirror, say that is where Mariah is on her left side. That mirror, you set it up. So you set up to the mirror behind you perfectly square on. You then put the easel mirror, literally grab it with your hands and put it to the left or right-hand side. That's exactly where it goes. That's how close you want to be to it. Oh, yeah. And you want the lighting to come from an angle. Okay, you don't want a downlight angle. You want it to come from a downlight angle. You don't want it coming down because it won't show up the body correctly like we do on show day. You want it on an angle. We've got some downlights at the Burpengary posing class we do in the group fitness room. And to show the back properly, we actually have to get the competitor to lean forwards in their back pose for the lighting to hit it correctly. And then they go, "Oh yeah, wow, look at my back." So make sure you get the right lighting so you can see what you've got and you can flex it on. Because if you can't see it, how can you flex it? But a tip for the back, number one, have you ever seen your back? Yeah, if you haven't seen your back and you're struggling to get it out, get that position right with that mirror, and then start playing around with the scaps. Squeeze in, roll out, try and lift this shoulder up. What is my back actually doing? So one, working out that your scaps can move around, and note that also that your lats, engage your lats. Your arms don't lift your lats. Okay. So actually, Mara, I'll do a demo on that one. I should be in shot. Yeah, am I in shot there?
Yep.
So that's my back out. That's my back in. Back out, back in, back out. What were my arms doing the whole time? Nothing.
That is an incredible trick. I've seen you do it posing before, and you can just do it like that. That's
yeah,
great.
Yeah, and like I can also do one, like you just do one. Well, there's one, there's two,
Wow.
drop up. But again, my arms are doing nothing to get my back out.
Mm.
Yeah. And girls who say that they're too trappy, a lot of girls say they're too trappy all the time. There's my traps. But as soon as I engage my back,
Yeah.
my lats, my traps are gone. Okay. So it's just a case of engaging your back and not your traps to get that back out. Some get it like that. Some just struggle and get it weeks or months later. And look, some don't get it all. I do say to my judges, the best body's got to win, but it comes down to two identical bodies, and you can get your back out over a girl that can't quite get out. That would be the presentation difference. Okay. So where you can try and get that back out and try and use it in all your core turns, unless you're doing arms up pose, you wouldn't do it. But you know, if you're doing arms down pose, yeah, use that back. And sorry, your front pose is your back pose. Okay, so when you get your back out in your front pose and you're doing arms down in your back pose, make sure it's just the same pose. We had a girl at posing class a couple of weeks back and smokes her front pose, like boom, goes around the back and does a completely different pose and pulling up through the traps and pinching the shoulder blades. And even though we tried to explain to her, just do the front pose without seeing the mirror, she just couldn't get the front pose in the rear pose. So that's her homework, is to make sure that that brilliant front pose is also her back pose.
Yeah. I love that. It's hard.
Oh, sorry, just on that.
Yes.
2017 Nationals in Sydney Nationals. This girl, she was literally going to win the figure classic, but every time she went round to the back pose, she couldn't get her back out properly, yet she could get it out brilliantly in the front pose. Then occasionally they turn around these girls around 10 times. It was crazy. It was the most unbelievable division. She went round, round, round. But 3 times out of 10, she got it out but lost it, right? And her parents were in the audience. And I said to them, I said, look, her problem she's got is she can't get the back pose out. This is going to cost her. And the MC turned around one more time and boom, again, she couldn't get the back pose out. You could see that it just wasn't working for her. But the thing is, she could get it out because she got the front pose out. And anyway, I went around the backstage afterwards and had a chat to her and give her some feedback. And she goes, oh my goodness, I can't believe it. See, my front pose, all I had to think was my back pose. I said, yeah. I said, that's what cost you. She said, was that it? I said, yeah, because when you went around the back, you showed us the worst symmetry position possible. And we're going to judge what you show us at the time. Yeah, your front pose is your back pose.
That's crazy. It's true. Even in figure, there's going to be some poses in figure as well, like front and back double bi, you know?
Yep.
And I mean, I think front and back symmetry, the only change I would make in my front is just a slight roll of the shoulders, really. Just, you know, but that's not hard to do in a front pose. But you're right. As far as your back goes, do the same thing that you're doing with your back. You know, your lats don't need to change. So next question, the one on comparison. So we often see competitors, including my own clients, this is something we battle with daily, you know, comparing themselves to others, especially on social media. And we've all done it, you know, it's easy to do. What's your thoughts on the comparison game? You know, is this fair? Obviously, we're going to be competing against these people, but should we be doing this, and how often?
Well, look, you do what you want to do.
Yeah.
My suggestion is not to compare, or compare in a way that I compare myself to others in a way that, like, I'll look at someone else and go, I don't have what you've got. Geez, I'm impressed with what you've got. And it doesn't worry me. I'd like what they've got. You know, like my training partner and I, we can both bench press the 55 kilo dumbbells. But do I look like I can? Nope. Does he look like he can? Yep, he's got bigger arms. But at the end of the day, would I like the bigger arms? Yes. But, you know, I always compliment and say, man, look at your freaking arms. They look amazing. So it doesn't, and, you know, that's why I suppose I enjoy posing classes, is that I never get deflated by a posing class where I see bodies better than mine. As I said, Joey Ken was out there the other day at Macrobat, and I said to Joey, we're looking at Chad, he's looking amazing. And I just said, Joey, I can look at good bodies all day long. You know, would I like to be as thick and big as Chad? Absolutely. But I'm not. And it doesn't, you know, it doesn't make me not go to the gym tomorrow. So just don't. It doesn't stop me from trying to be the best version of me.
Yes.
Because I can't be Chad. I can try, but I can't, because Chad's Chad and Jason's Jason. and I'll just be the best version of what I can be of me. And I've got to and be happy with that.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. It's like turning envy into admiration and
Yeah.
being grateful to be even alongside people who are competitive as well. And there's nothing better. I think you see a big difference in the way figure competitors treat each other. We all know we've gotten to this point where it's really hard to build this much muscle. And so we're backstage, fist pumping and hugging, and it's lovely because we just understand that it's not about trying to eat each other and attack each other and stalk each other's social media pages, and that's going to make your experience so much worse of prep if you stay in that mindset of I'm not good enough, because even that's going to affect the way you perform, and then you might not actually push yourself as hard. So, and you never know the difference it will make to just enlightening. There are some people out there who are amazing at taking selfies and the best type of angles, and it's like you meet them on show day and you're like, oh, you're good, like you're good with trickery, you look good, but like, oh, I didn't realize you were that short, or whatever. It is everything. I even competed against a few figure ladies who on social media, holy crap, like they look jacked, and next to me I look like I could eat them type of thing, and I've never even met them in person. So it's not even, and there's no direct comparison between two bodies, as I think we've spoken about this before, as in, yes, there is, but we're all so different, and that's part of the fun of this process too.
Yeah. And Mariah, at the posing classes, like we get up to like 30 or 40,
Yeah.
and we've got all different shapes and sizes. And all the girls and guys keep coming back because for the majority of them, it's like, this is my journey. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. And yes, some do compare to others. But then they come back to me and go, and they come back to themselves and go, and this is me. That's right. This is you. And let's just do the best we can do with you. That's what this game's about.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Don't lose your mind on others. You can't control that. Just control you and do what you've got to do for you.
100%. Love it. Love. All right, we're going to do another question. So the next one is, when is the next? I actually really want to know this one. This is why I put it in here. When is the next ICN Queensland national show set to take place? The last one was presented so well. I've been to multiple national shows with ICN, and I'm not trying to take a dig at the other states. I love them. New South Wales was an experience going down there. It was actually really lovely. I had a really good chat to the president down there. But yeah, when is Queensland bringing it back? Because that was epic. That last one was just.
Yeah, look, I'd like to think, Mariah, that we run the best shows in the country.
You do.
We hopefully we might have it back next year. We tend to put them where it's required due to a venue hire availability, to where's it right for the state that needs it with this reason or that reason. It would have probably stayed up here this year, but we just couldn't get the dates. So we put it back down into Melbourne, and next year at this stage, it's probably Melbourne again. For me, I'm not worried whether it comes up to Queensland or not. I'm more worried for ICN, is it the right move to bring it to Queensland for this reason or that reason? So if it comes up, it comes up. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, I know a lot do love it to come up because obviously, it's in their own home state. And I do fight. Don't worry, I do fight for an ask every year. Do you think it's right for here this year? And if it's a no, it's a no, and we get on with it, and we wait till it's a yes.
Yep. Okay. Well, I'm competing next year, so
I'll ask again.
Just so you know, I have absolutely no pull with this at all. Like, for my listeners, it's like, even if I was to do a sneaky hint, it would be a gamble for me to be able to compete again at a national show. But yeah, no, I really do love. I like, from my experience of the national shows we've had, it's been fantastic. So everybody, watch this space. Maybe next year. We'll keep you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. I'll ask the question. I'll just ask for a reminder. Yeah.
So next question, what's your thoughts on taking plenty of time in an off season to grow into a division? So not necessarily if you're trying to just make a couple of adjustments, but growing into a division, say going from bikini to fitness or fitness to figure. Do you believe that some competitors come back a little bit too soon before they've made decent growth between show seasons?
Well, you're always going to grow the longer you leave in between. The question is, how long do you want to leave in between to say, here's my point from point A to point B? The thing with competing is you're always in that best version of you on stage. So it's really showing you at your leanest where your growth has been. So, some people come back season after season for, 3, 4, 5 years. Some people come back every 2 to 3, 4, 5 years. It's just, horses for courses, what suits them. But can you grow? I like to use this as an example that people ask, well, I've got to be fat to grow. I said, well, no, you can grow muscle in a deficit, because if you can't grow muscle in a deficit, all those people that do 12-week challenges at the gyms who go from just basically not looking like anything to looking like, wow, look at you, and also get stronger. Clearly it shows you actually can grow muscle and keep muscle in a deficit. And again, an example for me and my training partner. My training partner's just taken off 20 kilos, and the last 6-8 weeks has taken off probably a good 4 or 5 kilos. And I've taken off at 3 or 4 myself. And both of us went from the 50 kilo dumbbells, the 52s, the 55s. Now, how could we possibly get stronger if we're in a deficit? Clearly you can, and clearly you can grow muscle. So what it comes down to is how often you want to get on stage and just show a point of where you're at for right now. Do you want to do it every 2 years? Do you want to do it do you want to do it every season? Do you want to do it every 2 years, 3 years? What's your check marker that you want to get back up and go, boom, I want to show this. Yes, will you be bigger if you wait longer? Yes. But do you want to wait longer because it's so fun? But you know what? I'm just going to get up every year for 5 years and just put a check marker and see where I am. Get the comparison photos up. Yes, year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, year 5. Boom.
Yeah, I think it depends on person to person, and I mean, I probably take about 2 or 3 years off between competing, but people ask, "Oh, is that because you want to grow as much as possible?" I'm going to be honest. My growth between shows is not massive. I'm making like little adjustments here and there, but it's also for life as well. Like I take big gaps off. But in saying that though, as you said, I've got competitors that have competed, they might, for example, take a year off and then go again, or they might take 6 months off and go again. And it's because they were just a hairline away from, getting to where they wanted to go with their physique. And so I think in that instance, I would support it, because it's like, you're not that far off. You don't need to go off into a 3-year growth phase if you just need to add a bit of shoulder cap. And that's it. That's all it takes. So yeah.
And one of the biggest differences is the leanness. If there's the top number one feedback, it's you didn't come in lean enough. Bar bikini, right? Then again, it could be for bikini as well. But what I'm saying is really once we get the muscle divisions, is where you have to be super lean. Is you just have to find another 2 or 3 kilos. But mind you, that can be the same in bikini. Just need to find 2 or 3 kilos. And by finding that 2 or 3 kilos alone, just changes the physique, can bring out the shoulder caps, can bring out that extra abdominals we're looking for in that vision. The season 8, should I say, had the Sunshine Coast show and the Brisbane Classic 1 week apart. And the biggest tip for most people that asked for feedback was you just need to come in slightly leaner. And one girl dropped 2.4 kilos in the week, and what a difference it made to her physique. Just as simple as that. So there's 2 different physiques 1 week apart. Now, in regards to saying, I can't grow much in 6 months. No, you're right. You can only grow as much in 6 months and every 6-month period. And then if you want to wait 6 months, you'll get a little bit of growth. But in 6 years, you're going to get more. Of course you are. It's as simple as that. You can't put 6 years worth of growth in 6 months. So the question is just how often you want to come back with that check marker, because some people just love competing. Like they just actually Billy in my over 60s, he's there every A and B season. He just loves competing. At 66 years of age, he's not going to grow. He just loves being up on that stage, and he'll be back again season B. Just loves it.
Yeah, I think it's it's such an open-ended question, but I think for women as well, like especially if you're in, like I'm wanting to have children soon, it's important for us to restore our health markers. And it's like, but if that only takes 6 months, and then you're kind of feeling good for another 6 months, and you're like, oh, you know what? I can probably tackle this again. It's like that's another little interwoven layer into it. But I do think that I've gotten better at this as the years have gone by, and I've gone, just got to eat a bit more food and just be in a position where I'm not flogging myself silly. And then my health markers come back to normal and we're good to go. It's actually not as complicated as what people think it is. Restoring right back to your energy after a competition. So, yeah.
Yeah, and look, and Mariah, if you're doing it all well, and you coaches, there's just a different level of coaching, nutrition wise and training wise compared to 15 years ago. It is like chalk and cheese, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, very few people do you hear of ill health problems, because the majority of coaches are, you know, they know what's required. It's very rare for me to hear, and the last time I heard of a bad one, geez, we're talking, this happened, I think, 8 years ago, and
Yeah.
I haven't heard a story like it. You know, so like for most, you're doing it the right way. So your health markers should be pretty much still staying checked the whole time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's good. We're in a better spot now in bodybuilding, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
All right. So next question, and I love this one because our last podcast we did. I remember you held on to this and told me in a posing class once, because there was a guy there that was from the army. We did the whole, what do you think would be harder? Like, I think it was Kapuka versus like 20 weeks of prep or something like that, being in the army. So this time I've decided to put a bit of a twist on it. What do you think would be harder between these two? 30 weeks of comp prep. Now we're going to answer this at the same time because I'm actually really unsure what I'm going to go with. 30 weeks of comp prep. So I've extended the length of time. 30 weeks of comp prep, or going pro. So mind you, this is not just prep, but like we're chasing a pro card here. Or training for and winning a marathon race. All right, you ready? I'll let you think about it for a little bit. I got to think about it too.
Yeah. This is a lot more difficult than the first question you did with the army.
Because I think I know how you feel about marathons, but I don't know. I could be wrong. Okay, so we're gonna answer. Have you thought about it?
Yeah.
I should have like a little bit of music here, just waiting, like, dude. All right, so 3.
Sorry. Which one's gonna be harder?
Which one's harder? Which one's harder between 30 weeks of comp prep and going pro? Not just prep, but going pro.
Yep.
You know, or training for and winning a marathon race. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Marathon.
Yeah.
I reckon we're gonna have different reasons as to why we think this is harder. But you tell me yours.
Okay, the reason why I think marathon's harder, one, as much as I'm a runner, I know the stamina it takes. Like I used to do a 10-minute run, a 2K run, and I'd sprint towards the end. Like I'd start at like 16, 17K an hour, and I'd finish 1 minute at 20K an hour. Now the marathon, so I do 1 minute at 20K an hour, right? The marathon runners, think about this, the world record's 2:04. So effectively they're running at 21 Ks an hour for 2 hours, right? Like that is just amazing what they do. So number one is I could not run ever for 21 kilometers. Sorry, at that speed for more than about a minute or two if I'm lucky. Right. So number one, that's how hard it's going to be. And even if I said to myself, we'll just do my best time for a marathon, the training it would take, hardcore. Yeah. Hardcore. Yeah. Just so even if I pull that question back to 30 weeks of prep to run the fastest marathon Jason can, that would be extremely harder than 30 weeks of comp prep.
Agreed. Yeah. I think my main reason for saying it's harder is because I hate running. I used to run 10K a day, like 10 years ago when I had an eating disorder and I was quite unwell, 25 kilos lighter, actually now 30 kilos lighter. It was a world away from bodybuilding, and running was, it's definitely, you've got a different mindset if you're a runner. I think you have to be a little bit crazy, but we all, are in a good way. But running a marathon, I've done case studies on marathon runners, the fueling requirements for a marathon runner, the digestive upset that they get, running marathons, as well as the sheer volume of competitors in a marathon, trying to win when you've got, a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 competitors, whatever it might be, the conditions of the marathon, but not just that, as you said, the training in the lead up to it is intense. You're going to have to do fasted sessions. You're going to have to go for longer periods of time. Your knees, your joints, like, whew, I just think, yeah.
Actually, Mariah, I'm glad you brought this question up. Now I think that, the average marathon in a big city marathon is like tens of thousands, right?
Oh, yeah, there you go. I don't know how many competitors in a marathon. Wow.
Oh, it's not just thousands. You go to like, the Bostons and whatnot, even the 14K one they do in Sydney, Sydney to Shore or whatever it's called. Tens of thousands of people. And the crazy thing is, when you get into the marathon side of things to see how many actually do it, you think, hang on, that's so hard to do. You should just do a bodybuilding show instead. It would be a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I always say to runners, why do you do that? But they must think we're a little bit, well, why do you do that? But you know what? The next question, like when I do this again with you, because I'm sure we will, I'm going to come up with an even better one, a comparison between what do you think is harder. I feel like this is a recurring theme we need to keep going. Eventually,
I like it.
Eventually, you're going to answer comp prep for something.
I like it. I like it. Hey, I got to just say, I've got a friend of mine who's a long ultra distance runner, and so every Sunday she'll do a 35-kilometer run. Amongst her other runs, every Sunday, just a lazy 35 kilometers.
Just a convenient Sunday run. Some people just go for a drive in their car to the shops on a Sunday, and this girl's running 35 kilometers for fun and enjoyment. It's a little bit strange, but I'll let them have it. It's their rush, basically.
Yep, that's it.
All right, so next question. Do you recommend, on that note, very relatable, do you recommend doing large amounts of cardio on top of a moderate weights training program for prep? I know you won't give an exact recommendation, but we've discussed this a little bit at posing classes. So do you recommend lots and lots and lots of cardio? I'm talking bike, Stairmaster, just smashing the hell out of yourself cardio-wise, F45 sessions on top of your training sessions, or do you believe weights training should take precedence? Should that be the majority of the work you're doing in your program for bodybuilding specifically? Or do you believe this differs from division to division?
Well, I am going to say that at the end of the day, progressive overload with weights is what changes the body. You can get limited change. You can get change out of running. You can get change out of even walking. It'd be very minimal. Okay, even running's going to be very minimal. You don't see any bodybuilding marathon runners, do you, from Ethiopia and Kenya?
Thank you.
And you want to change those physiques. One, you'll be hard pressed to, because that's their genetics. But two, to change their physiques, we're going to use progressive overload. And that's why I even consider bikini is bodybuilding, because you built that body. And the way we've got to look at glutes a different way. The glutes isn't a bum anymore. The glutes is a muscle. And they're shaping that muscle like they're shaping a bicep, a tricep, a quad. They're shaping the glute. And no longer is a glute like a bum. A glute's like just it's a muscle, and like just watching that physique, unbelievable. And the only way you're going to do that is with progressive overload. Or holds, or and actually I have to say throw there at holds as well, because when you look at the forearm can change size simply by holding on to freaking heavy weights. Okay, so understanding how the body can actually grow, it's going to definitely grow over progressive overload, but it can also grow over holding things, and then holding heavier things and holding heavier things. The chest muscle in particular, I like to use an example. The chest muscle really can't push jack shit. Okay, if you get down into a push up and go right, chest push, chest can't push. Okay, you've got to push through the chest. Okay, you got to make sure that you contract the muscle, mind muscle, and push through it. And note that when we do a bodybuilding pose, the arm comes across the chest. It comes across, and when it comes across, the chest is fully on. We don't use any weights, and we flex it on. Okay, so it's flexed on in a way different to, say, other muscles that are doing the pushing, because the chest can help you slow down a weight. So you can certainly contract on the weight down, or take the weight down, but you can't push through it. You can't push with it, but you can push through it to engage it to build the size. So there are different ways, but overall, look, it's progressive overload.
Yeah,
would be for the big win.
We don't want to overcomplicate the process, really, and it's like, a split training program has worked for so long. I think that going crazy with cardio, and we see it. We see a lot of programming, a lot of cardio, not just walks, not just, occasional bits here and there, but I'm talking when the cardio starts to outweigh the weights training, we know there's a bit of a disconnect there, and we've got to try and pull the weights back in again. So whether it's weights, whether it's isometric work, as you said, like resistance, holding the muscles as well, because it's not all about weights. As you said, there was a competitor with calisthenic skills that actually competed. It was just about holding them, which I think is what's funny when people shit on things like wall sits and holds and stuff like that. It's like, don't shit on that. It has its place in resistance training, for a certain purpose. Yeah.
Yep.
So, and yeah, type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers. We see in runners, skinny type 1 muscle fibers. They don't take up a lot of space, but there's lots of them. And that's partially why they have that slender look to them. And then type 2 muscle fibers are nice and meaty. And we see that with resistance-based training and progressive overload, which is going to take up more room. So it's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah.
Yep. And even doing some high rep stuff, like you bring in different muscles.
Yep.
So there's these muscle fibers that are going to carry you through that you're not using if you're only doing sets of 3 to 5 reps. So sometimes I'll crank out, especially leg extensions, I'll crank out 100 sets my first set, just burn the crap out of them. Actually, I remember doing a 100-kilometer bike ride once. It was a really hilly one, and my legs were swollen for friggin' 2 days afterwards. It was just crazy.
Yeah, the resistance of the up and down hills will make a huge difference, and that's why cycling is one of those sports that can be a little bit hybrid. So yeah, that's I like the leg extension. That's torture, Jason.
Oh man, first we do 6 sets, and the first set's I think like every weight stack's different, but it's 35 kilo, and we'll crank out. I think the best we've done is like 135, and then we'll go down 3 plates, and we'll go to about. We're pretty burnt by then, so we'll go try to get about 70 to 90 out, and the next one's like 60 to 80, and then by the time we rack the whole thing, we're struggling to get 20 reps out. But the burn and just the difference you can just feel inside. Like you can grow with that sort of volume as well.
I love quad extension drop sets. It's the only way I do my quad extensions now. It's just, it makes sense to do that. So next question. What do you think are the major traits? We asked last time what the major traits will be for winning or going pro. But what do you think are the major traits in a human being just required to complete a comp prep successfully? What do we need before we start prep? Everyone falls in love with it. What do you actually need?
The right mindset. The mindset to understand you're going to be learning about your body, that as long as you don't overcomplicate things, it's not actually as hard as it appears. So understanding that you've got 2 choices: to wake up and train or to sleep in. You've got 2 choices: to eat the tuna and salad or to eat the fast food meal. So it really comes down to 2 choices. You got the water, or you've got the not the sugar-free, but the actual V with sugar in it. Just look at your 2 choices of good and bad. That's what it comes down to. And just saying, well, hang on a second. Yeah, I don't need this rubbish. I need this. And remembering you're trying to fuel your body, and you want to put the right fuels in there anyway. So why do you want that rubbish? So get that mindset right, going, yeah, actually, you know what? I don't need that shit. I want this. And you know what? I'm going to wake up in the morning and I'm going to go for that run. I'm going to go for that weight session. I'm going to go for that swim. I'm going to go for what it is and get it done. That's what it just comes down to. It comes down to choices. So get the right mindset of, I'm going to make the right choices. And you know what? It's not about making 100% of the right choices. It's making it, the old 80-20 rule. But if you're going to be competing, it's probably the more 9.5 out of 10 rule. You don't have to be perfect. And I've never had someone, actually, you know what? The people who've come to me and have struggled the most I said, okay, what have you been doing, blah, blah, blah. And diet-wise in particular, they have been so perfect, it's doing the heading. And, like sometimes, well, that's your problem. Maybe you're just being too strict on yourself and you need that 9.5 rule. Because it's not the be all and end all. And again, I go back to my first comment an hour and a half ago where, you listen to one person, but sometimes I see that you've been like this for so long. It's like, whoa, hey, you're not letting a little bit of life happen. But have the right mindset. That the 9.5 rule is that it's choices.
It is. It comes down to choices, doesn't it? It's not even I wish or I wish I was as good as you, or I did this, or I was as disciplined as you. It's like, you don't need to wish, you just need to decide. It's very simple. It's not, we're not gifted people,
No.
Like, I think I was in year 12. I went to school 2 days a week on average out of 5, right? High school didn't agree with me. I still came out with an OP6 or something like that, right? And it's interesting. It's like some people, thrive and flourish in certain environments and some people don't. But at the end of the day, it's what you make of it and what you do with what you've got and where you go from there as well. Like the decisions you make daily are going to change everything. So We really are only ever one choice away from a completely different life. I love that saying.
Oh, hang on. I'm going to get a book. Hang on. Hang on.
Yes. Here's Jason. This is not rehearsed, by the way. I've got no idea what he's doing. I love it. What is this?
Hang on a second. Hang on a second.
Bodybuilders do read, by the way. We definitely do.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So, I got this book ages ago. It's called The Slight Edge.
Oh
Okay,
wow!
and
I'm gonna get
even
this.
when I was a state member of parliament, there's my little sticker in there.
Oh,
I bought 200 of these when I was a member of parliament and gave them to all my school students in my area.
nice.
Because what The Slight Edge is about is doing a little bit every day that makes a difference over time.
Wow.
Okay, so just think, save a penny a day, and what does it become over time? So it's like, and then bang. Okay, so it's all those small choices, that slight edge thinking every day over time that makes the difference down the track. So yeah, it's choices, it's slight edge.
I'm gonna get that. I've been looking for my next book, and this is my sign. I just finished my last one.
Oh, okay. You got because this is one of my originals that I got little notes in there, little things. I've got spare ones of these because yeah. So I'll actually send you a copy.
Oh, you're the best. That's
Yeah,
the
because you can't actually buy it in a bookstore. You've got to go through via, I think it's Amway or something. It's a real weird way to get it. Yeah, so I'll send you one. Yeah.
please. Thank you. There you go, guys. I'm gonna have the inside link up to a book that you can't order online, and we can talk about it in future.
And if any, and here you go, because I think I've got enough spare to say that if any of your two listeners, the first two that get in contact with you and go, I'd love to read that book, The Slight Edge,
Yes.
I'll send you, what I'll do is I'll send you 3 copies, one for you and 2 for anyone that wants one.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. And you know what I used to do back in the day? Because I found out about this book in, I had my supplement store and studio, I'm going to say 2008 or 2009. And the guy gave it to me, and it was so unbelievable. I thought, you know what I'm going to do? I went and bought like 15 copies, right? And I started giving them out to friends. I said, you've got 21 days to read this, and then you've got to give it back to me. And the majority of people actually said to me, I've read it. It's amazing. Can I pass it on?
Oh, that's really
Yes.
sweet. I think passing books on is wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. So once you read it, or the other one is if you do keep it, is read it a year later, and what happens is you're going to read it and go, I don't remember this chapter. I don't remember this page. This is new. No, your thinking changed, so that page now means something different from the things you started doing in your life, differently from reading it the first time. It'll read differently to you the second time. Yeah.
You'll identify with it in a different way. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep. I used to have the CD series for it as well. It wasn't the whole book, unfortunately, but I used to listen to that so often, and just it was such a great motivator to re-listen to, like almost on a daily basis. It is just the most amazing book.
So it's you've heard it here. Bodybuilding is not about the body, but more about the mind. Would we not say that? Yeah. All right. So thanks for that, Jason. Really appreciate it. The next question, what do you try and avoid doing as a federation? And I specifically avoid doing, because I know that we don't like to get too, controversial here, but I really want to know, like, what do you do differently, or what do you just go, you know what, this is not what we do as a federation? And what do ICN Queensland pride themselves on to set them apart from other federations, whether it be tested or untested federations? What have you really decided, that's it, these are our non-negotiables?
Is that if the decision we're making on something is hard for the competitor and easy for us, it's the wrong decision.
Yeah.
My motto has always been, if it's hard for us, easy for the competitor, then that's the way we do it. Okay. I had someone one year who was going to wanted to sort of like do something in regards to setting up the show, and how people would walk into the show and then walk out. And I just went, are you serious? Like, that is going to be so difficult for people. See, it'll make it easy for us. Yeah, no, we're not doing that. Yeah. So whether it's for the spectators, for competitors, for anyone, the question is it hard for me to get it sorted to make it easy and run really well for everybody else? Well, then that's the right decision. And, I go to a few other shows from time to time, and sometimes I'll sit down there and I'll go, Why would you do that? Like, that's just making it hard for everybody.
Mm.
You know, I mean, like our hardest thing that I can't change at the moment at Chandler is our tan and makeup is in the upstairs area at the moment. Sadly, due to the Olympic Games coming, Chandler's backstage area was ripped apart, and we've now been moved, and there's just nothing we can do about it. So it's hard for us to set it up, and it's also hard for the competitor because they've got to climb the stairs, which I'd rather them not be climbing.
Mm.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, these things happen, and we're honestly, I wasn't too bothered by it. I don't think many people are, but for you, I think you're a stickler for detail, so I think for you it matters. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just so much. Chandler was just perfect, that backstage area. Like, everything was just in the one location, and it worked beautifully. But sadly, the Olympics 10 years away, and
Oh, you're kidding! It's 10 years away. Oh my God, what
yeah,
overkill!
yeah. Well, 9 years away now. Yeah, they needed this high performance center, which hardly gets used, and is for, when you think about it, I'm going, okay, if it's for the Olympics, it's 9 years away. I suppose they're probably working with people who are like just 15 to 20, 25 years of age, because they're going to be the right age in 9 years' time. I'm thinking, come on, surely you've got 1,000 different gyms around the area you can use. Surely you could set up another building somewhere else. Oh my goodness.
What's
Yeah.
wild too is like they don't even need it yet. It's like it's such overkill for time wise. What are they doing with it now? Are people using it now, or
Yeah, people are using it now. It gets hardly used, and where it's located, it's really hard for the athletes that are using it to get to it. It's just crazy. But Chandler's actually lost shows because of it, because that backstage area is where they warmed up, especially like dance, or what's the cheerleading and throwing people up. Now they've got nowhere to warm up because of the high ceilings. They've had to go to different venues, so they've actually lost from it. But anyway, that's why we haven't got the Chandler area we used to, if anyone was actually wondering.
yeah,
But yeah, and other than that, the big one that we do that I think from, I'm going to say almost all federations and even some within, is that we run on time. And if we don't run on time, we're damn close to it, because that's really important for the competitor. So we really try and make that happen. It's not always perfect. We just do our best. It is bodybuilding. We can get stuck. We can have a good run. You never know. But we try and make that guide pretty close to the mark. Sometimes we nail it. But you know what? In saying that, sometimes in nailing it at the very finish, we've been 10, 20, 10, 20, 10, 20, boom. Yeah. So again, it can waver. It's just an approximate.
yeah. I actually like that your show has specific times, because even though if it's not exactly specific, you're still going to know that this is after this, and this is this many minutes between this, and it kind of feels a bit better. There have been shows that I've been to that they've gone, oh, it might start at this time or whatever, this show, and it's like hours and hours and hours behind, and it's like 11 o'clock at night, and I'm like, let me go home. Like, why am I still here? I want to eat, So, and I'm sure the competitors feel that way as well. But yeah, I like that. And there's obviously lots of other different points and differences and things like that. But I think, that ethos of what's hard for us but easier for the competitors and spectators is fantastic. So, last couple of questions before we finish up. How do you feel? I love this one because I think not a lot of people would have the balls to ask something like this, but I'm a pretty ballsy kind of gal, and I don't shy away from the hard questions. How do you feel about ICN competitors doing other federations' shows as well as ICN? I've found some presidents and promoters can't stand it, and even so will look at competitors slightly differently. But then others are totally okay with it. So how do you feel about it?
Well, number one, you'll get looked at our shows the way you get looked at our shows. Let's repeat this. You'll get looked at our shows on the merits of what you show us.
Yeah.
We don't care where you've been, where you're going. You will get judged according to how you look on that stage. So if you do happen to go to somewhere else and get a different placing, like number one, ask the question, how many were in that lineup compared to how many were at ICN? Two, who else was in that lineup compared to who was there? Because at the end of the day, if you say I'll use another show and got a fourth with us, the question is, let's have a look at the difference and why. Okay, we will always place you where we feel you deserve to be placed, regardless of what you do, where you go, who your coach is. We couldn't care less. Yeah, and just on that, like back in the years gone by, sometimes people go, oh, he was with such and such team, that's why. I say, no, And then, you know, the crazy one was actually, I remember the time I only met Taryn Mead just once or twice, and she won this our overalls. And I'm like, okay, who's coach? And now I'd met her Scotty Hipple was a coach, and I'd clean forgotten. So I'm going to coach. And they're going, oh, Scotty, oh, come on, mate, to be in the photo. And I'm going, oh, that's right. I met you the other weekend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not
So
going
the
to
thing is,
hundreds of competitors coaches.
we just can't. And even if we do, it's like we don't care who the coach is. We care what the right body is in the right thing. And that's the thing with giving feedback. So easy to give our feedback because we can justify exactly, and they can look back and go, oh yeah, okay. And I had a girl I sat down with last year. And she said, can I sit down with you for some feedback? I said, yep. And we pulled up a couple of shows with the placings on the podiums. And I went through with her, and I'm actually pointing at my own screen. And they're pointing at the screen going, and this is what we're doing. Just go, see this, and there you do that. And she goes, yeah, I can see that flow. Okay, no worries. So yeah, really important that that's how that happens. Yeah, and so therefore, yeah. Look, I'd rather you just do ICN. I'm like, you know, support the Tropics, come down here to the Chandler Show, state titles, and then down to Nationals, and then in season A, do the Sunshine Coast, then do the Brisbane Classic with the improvement over 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later go to the Nationals for your next improvement, and stick with ICN. Would love you to. At the end of the day, if you go somewhere else, so be it. I just hope they treat you as good as us, because I'd like to think we treat you best. I'm not going to lose sleep over, get bent and twisted. I'll just continue doing what I do and put on the best show I can for you all.
That's really lovely. I think the neutral standpoint is wonderful, and it honestly doesn't work in the favor of federations to do that, to do the whole, you know, like, and get mad, because then it kind of, I don't know, like puts a bad taste in people's mouths. It's like, so, and I'll compete with ICN. I think I'm doing a couple of other federations early next year. But it's also, for me, it's not about the federations. It's just more about different experiences, you know? And it's like, I love ICN though. Like, oh, the stage experience in ICN is just, I'm very excited for it. You know, I'm like, ugh. So, I think it's just a case of, for you as well, like that type of approach is, I don't know, it's just more humble and kind, and not, you know, going to make competitors uncomfortable or think that, you know, they're going to be marked differently, or that they need to, you know, worry about that type of thing. So yeah, that's great. I actually didn't know what your response was going to be, because I've never asked you that question. And I think it's because we do worry that, yeah, we have to be like only loyal to this federation or whatever. But I think that, yeah, it's not going to work well for the Fed or the competitor if we act like that too. So
it's kind of like our pro cards as well. Is that I gave a pro card to someone probably 5 years ago, and when we give the pro cards out, we say we offer the pro card. You've earned a pro card. Here is an offer of a pro card, because if you don't want it, don't take it.
that's right.
And because he was offered given a pro card somewhere else, and the person that gave them to he returned it and said, look, I don't want to become pro. And the federation, the promoters just lost their way. Like, how dare you? How dare you? And when he gave it back to me, I said, oh, mate, no problems at all. When you're ready. And he goes, really? I said, yeah, why? He said, oh, I got abused for giving one back the other week. I said, no, man, this is your journey. And I said, you don't want it yet. You don't want it yet, mate. It's you know, you got to re-earn it when you want it. And he said, mate, no problems at all. But it's not for me right now. I said, mate, no problems.
Wow, that's heavy. I didn't even know people did that. If I got given a pro card, I'd be like, give me. I'd just run away with it. You're never taking this from me. Oh, all right. Well, we'll quickly finish up before we run out of time, because obviously we can't chat forever. I wish we could. So posing classes, where can our newbies or even seasoned competitors find your posing class? Dates, location, and times. How much are they per class?
The posing classes are on the ICN QLD community closed Facebook page. So that's ICN QLD community. It's pinned on that post, and we post on there weekly, just the individual for that week coming up. The whole pinned post for whole season's there. And then on Instagram, there's some little hot buttons up the top. They're also up on there. And again, the whole entire season B is already up. So just check the locations, and each week we just put up where if there's a cost as well. Just check that out. And some are combined, some are most of them are like split between muscles and models, and just a couple are combined as well. But everywhere from Townsville, Sunshine Coast, Gold Coast, Brisbane.
Yep, awesome. That's wonderful. Well, I'll be coming to some more posing classes soon. I'm sure I will see some of them. And we'll finish up now. It's been honestly a pleasure having you on the podcast again. This is probably going to be split into a couple of episodes, but I really hope, and we can get some feedback from our listeners as well as what you thought. And I'm sure we'll have you back maybe next season for another interesting listen. So thanks a lot, Jason. Really appreciate your time today.
It's been my absolute pleasure.
Thank you.